Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to the show. As always, I'm your host, David Burrows. Happy Monday. Happy Family Day. If you're watching this live, of course, Family Day. And I hope you're getting some time to spend with family, because that's what it's for, right? So enjoy the time with family. And happy Valentine's Day, or happy belated Valentine's. Do you celebrate it? Do you celebrate the Valentines? Some people do. Some people don't. I think it depends where you're at in your life, right? Jennifer and I celebrated. Well, we had some fun, whatever. She played in a pool tournament over the weekend, but we did find some time to get out and have some fun, thanks to our friends at Snapshots Photo Booth. And you can find them online at snapshotsphotoBooth.ca. That's with an F. And thanks to Dana and Chad for giving us a whole lot of fun that we had, getting in front of this really super engaging photo mirror booth. Cool thing. I don't even know how else to describe it. But we had a lot of fun getting out there. Here's a couple examples. Jennifer's probably going, really, why do you got to share that? But we did have fun creating our own designs, etc., and having some fun. Love was in the air. And as Jennifer would say, we love each other every day, but it's the one day we get to shut it out loud, right? So thanks again to Snapshot Photo Booth. Find them online at snapshotsphotoBooth.ca or Snapshots Photo Booth on Facebook. Thank you, Dana and Chad, for that. I hope you had some fun times out, whatever you did, if you did or you didn't celebrate. Busy weekend around here always. And I hope you're taking the time to enjoy it. The weather hasn't been too bad, but it got cold over the weekend. Minus 13, I think, was where somewhere around in there, right? And people were complaining. I was sort of complaining. I wasn't really complaining. I was just, I'd come in from somewhere, right? But we just weren't used to it because of all the nice weather that Mother Nature's been giving us. It's already near the end of February. We're going to be in spring before you know it. I'm counting the days so I can get out on the motorcycle again. Motorcycle enthusiasts everywhere, of course. We'll be looking for that. And we're going to be doing some stuff on motorcycles, talking to some motorcycle clubs and stuff as well. So if you're a motorcycle enthusiast, keep an eye out for that. Say hello in the comments, if you will. I really appreciate you letting us know where you're from as well. We've always got some regulars showing up here, but we are simulcast throughout the world, throughout the United States and Canada, of course, and our friends in Australia with a Facebook hub, and Stephen Healy, who looked after the show today that we normally do together, because I just got a busy schedule. Sarnia staying in between and this, and it's just a crazy day. And so we're in the United Kingdom, Australia. Where else are we? We are in South Africa, right? And Ireland too, I believe. Anyway, thank you to all our Facebook friends and Facebook hubs for sharing this around out there. And okay, well, let's talk about some of the things that are coming up. Selfishly, I will promote that I'm going to be another karaoke night coming up to McCarthy Southside Bar and Grill. I was back there in December, and we had so much fun. We were trying to figure a date that I could be there, and it's February the 22nd that I will be there at McCarthy Southside in the Sherwood Plaza, I like to call it, if it's still called that. Sherwood Village was what we used to call it down there. So come on, check that out. Have some fun with us. And it's only 8 to midnight. So we start early, finish early kind of thing. And that's always good, right? Because not everybody likes to stay out late anymore. And even if you don't sing the karaoke, we need audience members. So come on in and have a beverage, maybe have dinner there. They've got great food there as well. So again, karaoke night returns coming up Saturday, February 22nd, McCarthy Southside. And a reminder once again that the Pastelicious is coming up on Friday, February the 28th at the Donny Club. That's supporting the Kidney Foundation. I've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, so I want to keep it fresh in there. 2 seatings, 11:30 and 12:30. If you can make it out, all proceeds again going to the Kidney Foundation. And Matilda, we had some of the characters here recently, starting February 27th through the 29th, and it was St. Patrick's Secondary School that's putting that on, being held at the Imperial Theatre. A few people messaged me and said, is it at St. Pat's or where is it? It is the St. Pat's Secondary School students, or some of them, putting it on, being held at the Imperial Theatre. So go to imperialtheatre.net and Matilda, boy, what a cast that we talked to. You can see that a couple of weeks ago we had some of the cast members on here. Going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping I can get out there and make it down there myself. Well, I recently got out and had some fun with the Painted Cat. I haven't seen her in a while, and the Painted Cat was around talking to us. She's got some interesting surprises she's going to share with us. That's coming up in just a moment. And she brought the Mad Hatter along with her as well. And I was really excited to see the Painted Cat because we've not gotten together and talked in person for quite some time. So without further ado, let's go out into the community now and talk with the Painted Cat. It's nice to get out in the community and see just what's available out there, and you probably recognize this young lady here. Haven't talked to you in a while, though. The Painted Cat, how are you?
It's been a while. I'm good, Dave. How are you?
We chat online once in a while, but
we do.
We don't get in person too much, and that's because you're so busy.
I have been busy. I've definitely been kind of in an incubation period where I've been planning some really new and fun, exciting things for 2020.
Yeah, and you've really been teasing us on social media about a few things. But we're kind of here to talk a little bit about that.
That's right.
She's going to let some of it out.
Just a little bit of it.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
just a taste.
So what do you want to tell us?
Well, right now we are at 100 Christina Street, which of course is location for Return the Landscape with Sean McKnight and the One Tomato Project, and as well as some other amazing artists. And I'm going to be offering classes and workshops and events out of this venue starting this year. And
that's exciting because I know, like, you've had spaces before and then you sort of made some different choices to go back home and do things. And so what brought you back out?
Well, the biggest thing is, number one, and I'm sure you can relate to this, when you work from home, you never really stop working. There's, there isn't that divide, right? So it's important for me, for my family and for myself and my own well-being, that I do have that divide. But the biggest thing is sometimes it's hard to find a venue space. For a while there I was doing the paint parties out of restaurants and bars, and I still offer those services, but I want to take it to the next level now because it's not just about, the party aspect of it. Like, I really want people to kind of dig deeper and see what their kind of potential is for expressing themselves creatively, right? So this is going to be a much more kind of like open studio, art studio, event venue where we have a bit more freedom and we don't have to worry about the noise of like a restaurant or a bar or anything like that.
Well, and it's conveniently downtown here. There's a nice shared space going on here.
Yes, there is.
And, I could say you're really good at teaching because...
Oh, thank you.
Well, because you've done that with me, sort of. Like, I've been in a couple of the parties, the paint parties that you did, and I'm like, I can't draw stick, people, please. Okay, fine. And I went, and it was just a simple step-by-step process.
That's right.
It's like you have a system that anybody could really follow along with, and I felt so comfortable, and by the end of it I was like, I was sitting a little taller. I felt pretty good about myself.
You did a great job.
So that's got to make you feel good when you know you can reach those all levels of everybody's got a little artist in them, right?
Absolutely. Everybody has the potential to create. You don't have to be able to draw a stick figure in order to create something that you can be proud of, and it really is about kind of getting lost in that process as well, because we live in such a distracting world, and there's so many like outside stressors and all these deadlines and all these things that weigh heavy on us, and art is a great way to just have that release and just like lose yourself in the process. And art and wellness go hand in hand, and I think that we all need a little peace and calm in our lives, right?
Positivity, calmness, and reflection, maybe even a part of all of that art in there, right, too?
Yep, definitely.
It's got to be there's a lot of reward that goes along with what you do, but is part of you doing this getting you like kind of like this more, I call it the belly to belly business.
I love that.
Right. And because I know for myself, like I've sort of gone back to doing these in-person interviews because I felt like I was losing touch with people directly. Is that a part of all of this for you too, to connect more?
Definitely. Connection is so important, and I think especially with our screen to screen living, we have kind of lost that personal touch, right? So this is a chance for us to reconnect not only with ourselves but with each other. And when we build this community, and that's why I'm really excited about working in this space, because I'm going to be working with so many other creative minds, and when you have like-minded people come together, beautiful things happen.
Amazing, beautiful things happen, right?
Yeah,
you even mentioned, you and I are on the same page when we talk about the laws of the universe.
Yep.
And before we started the camera rolling here, you mentioned this is kind of interesting that you're here in this space because this came full circle. Tell everybody what you meant by that.
So yeah, it's 100% full circle. So basically back in 2004, I was on the Art Walk committee, and that was what kind of reignited my passion for art and community and really looking at it as a potential like full-time profession, you know, because from a very young age I was told that art isn't a real job. Right?
Yep.
So when I got on the, yeah, right? We chose the creative path.
Right.
So when I heard about this Art Walk committee, I was really excited to get back on track. And Shaun McKnight was the one who was in charge of the committee. He you know, he's always been about art and ecology, right? Like the environment. And so he kind of like took us under his wing, like a lot of us who are still in this community, and he showed us how to integrate yourself into the community and you know, present your art and your ideas in a way that people would listen. And I was a big fan, and I've always been a big fan of everything that he's done for our community. So I think it's really cool that now, like, what, 16 years later, here we are, full circle, and we're going to be working together again, and I'm really, really excited about that.
That's inspiring, eh?
Yeah.
Because I remember when, you know, when we first, I think you were on one of my first shows, like 8 years ago, right? And I remember you talking about all these plans that you were going to do, right? And I think sometimes people go, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. But you give us this vibe, though, that you have that says, yeah, you know, she's going to do that.
I have to.
So look out,
I have
right?
to, yeah.
You put it out there. You've along the way, you've done some pretty fun things, and you've got some bragging rights to a couple of things too, all right? Like, talk about Commander Hadfield. That was an
my goodness, yeah. So that's honestly one of the highlights of my career so far, was doing the group show with Commander Chris Hadfield. And there were like 5,000 people at DeGroote's for his book signing and my art opening, right? And for those of the people who don't know, I took the pictures of Earth that he had taken from space, and I camouflaged models into them through body painting. And it was that was a really special moment. It's something I'll never forget. Yeah. And
something I don't think he'll ever forget too, because I remember when that happened, he made comments on Twitter, etc. about what an experience for him it was to see somebody take those and put a different perspective into it there. So, and
he's such a nice guy.
Yep.
He really is. Just like
genuine.
Extremely genuine. And very considerate of everybody around him, and he doesn't talk down to people, you know. He talks to you, and I had a really great time, and I've been to a couple of his other book signings as well, with thanks to Susan from The Bookkeeper, of course. She's always invited me, and so that's been really great too. So we have, you know, I still love that when you Google my name and his name, like, you know, it pops up. That's nice.
Nothing
right?
wrong with that. For sure. Look what I did. That's good.
Yeah, definitely.
What keeps you going? Because there's often obstacles in being self-employed. Never mind being a self-employed artist. You got the bills you got to pay. You have a family.
Yes.
What keeps it going for you?
For me, it really is about doing what I love and being able to inspire other people. That really is what it is. Like, now I'm going into schools and I'm talking to, you know, high school students, and I'm telling them that, you know, you can pursue art, you can pursue the creative path and not be a starving artist and not have it just be a hobby. And, you know, I had people like that in my life as I was growing up. Jane Hunter, you know, at the Lawrence House, I always looked up to her. Dave Moore, you know, one of the artists here, which again, you know, that's amazing. So you look up to those people, and so for me, it's not just about saying like I love what I'm doing, but I love the example that I'm setting for other people.
Absolutely.
For, you know, and there's no going back.
Right.
Like it's kind of cool being your own boss. Yeah. And there are going to be, you know, sacrifices that you make along the way, and it is a lifelong, you know, lesson, and you never stop learning. But I like it that way. It keeps things fresh. It keeps things interesting, and it just gives me life, right?
And sometimes, and it's, I get shot sometimes when I say this, but sometimes it's our parents, and they don't mean bad by it. They want to protect us.
Yes.
Go to school, get good grades, get a good job, live happily.
Check off all the boxes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, so I want to be an artist, or mine was I want to be a DJ. You know, okay, but what's your plan B? So what do you mean? What's my plan B? Because I think, you know, they're trying to protect us, but when they say that, it's almost like they're saying, yeah, okay, but you're probably going to fail at that, so make sure you have a plan B. Does that make sense? Is that the kind of thing you ran into too?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you didn't fit in that box, then how were you supposed to succeed?
Yeah.
But, luckily, so my dad was an entrepreneur. He had a comic shop downtown.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, volume 1, number 1.
Yeah, that's
volume
right.
1, number 2. So I saw, how he kind of like did his day-to-day and the struggles that he faced, and also celebrated the victories as well. We had a lot of fun.
Yep.
But he eventually had to go back to like the regular jobs.
Yeah, and he had a shop right downtown Sarnia here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right beside the library.
Yeah, I remember it.
And my mom, she was a secretary for the government, so she had more of like the
stable security.
Yeah. But I remember one time I said to her, Mom, like I feel so out of place. Like everybody's like a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor.
Right.
Like how is anyone ever going to see me as like successful when I don't fit into those boxes? And she said, Kath, she calls me Kath.
Right.
Yeah. There are many different ways to measure success, and success can look like a lot of different things. There's a lot of different paths, and I'll never forget that. Because it showed me that like even though I didn't fit into that box, I still had the potential to succeed and be happy in doing what I was doing.
Great advice.
So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
So you've had, way to go, Mom. So you've had a lot of good advice along the way as well, and life experience that have helped you through all of this, and I think it's fantastic what you've done. I watched from afar, but I watched, right?
Yeah.
So that's good, and that's great. Is there anything else you want to tell us that you can tell us about what's happening?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot more like PA Day programs, after school programs.
Okay.
We really want to appeal to the youth as well, and adults, the kids at heart. And another thing, we just finished doing some charactergrams for Valentine's Day.
Yep, right.
And I don't think a lot of people know that we actually offer charactergrams. So we had the Mad Hatter, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone's always really happy to see him.
Yeah.
And because we are arts and entertainment, and we're just kind of adding on the education aspect of it, you know. So the thing is, and people have said this to me before, like, oh, you're always branching out, you're always trying new things, but that's like the beauty of art, right? So expect a lot of new and exciting opportunities this year to like kind of see what we're capable of.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Painted Cat. Congratulations. It's nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you too, Dave.
Reach out to the Painted Cat. We're going to go back to the studio and we'll give you all the information. Find out more about what she's doing. Once again, the Painted Cat. Yep, the Painted Cat. There's no other one like her. And Kat Cabahart, thanks so much for talking with me. It's nice to see you again in person. And she's got some exciting things she's planning. She'll be doing some workshops and events and classes down there at 100 Christina Street here in downtown Sarnia. Reach out online on Facebook, The Painted Cat Sarnia, and online to thepaintedcat.ca. On her Instagram as well. You want to check her out there. She's got quite a following. Simply The Painted Cat. Painted Cat, thanks again. Looking forward to seeing more from you coming up in the future. All right, well, that was inspiring. And if you like to be inspired, we've got some more inspiring things. Ready to be inspired? It's called One Good Shift. And Shaun Peet, who is a former pro hockey player turned Canada's only NASCAR coach, is coming to Sarnia to the Imperial Theatre. Now, what makes him a little bit different about what he's going to be talking about? It's not hockey and NASCAR that he's just talking about. Well, he's going to inspire you. And I had the opportunity to catch up with him earlier this week, and it was an inspiring conversation. Sit back right now and enjoy. Here is Shaun Peet. Well, Sarnia, get ready to be inspired. Coming to Sarnia to the Imperial Theatre, very special guest and an interesting story. And I'm glad we have him here today. Shaun Peet, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate being on here. Thank you, Dick.
Well, we're excited to have you come to Sarnia on March the 5th at the Imperial Theatre. But before we get into why you're doing all this, we need to give everybody a little bit of a backstory. You originally were your former hockey player, right?
That's correct. I have had a really interesting journey through life. Grew up on Vancouver Island. Was a marginal hockey player at best. I was the last player picked on British Columbia in the British Columbia League. I played for the Nanaimo Clippers. Somehow worked my way into a scholarship. Played 4 years of college at Dartmouth, and went on after that. Played in the minors. Made it all the way up to the American League with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins and played for the Calder Cup in 2002. And after I was sent down from Wilkes-Barre, chance meeting with a fan in NASCAR set me off in a career in NASCAR, and that was 16 years ago. So it's a barely believable tale with all sorts of interesting stops along the way.
And it sort of happened by accident, from what I understand. This sort of you got into NASCAR from a bench brawl.
Yeah. So I was, you know, what's funny is I was, so I had made the opening day roster for the 2003 Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. And we were all at lunch one day, and we were watching Sports Center, and along the bottom of the TV screen, it said the Pittsburgh Penguins just traded for Doug Wilson and Ethan Moreau out of Florida, from the Florida Panthers, both defensemen. I was the only undrafted player in Wilkes-Barre at the time, and I was a defenseman. So before Glenn Patrick even told me I was on my way down, I showed up at the rink in the morning and packed my bags and was sent to Greensboro. To make a long story short, I wasn't super pleased about the demotion. There was a guy running around the ice taking liberties with our players. Our coach wanted it solved, so I just kind of raised my hand and said, I'll solve it. Turned into a massive brawl, and I was suspended for 18 games. And during that suspension, it's been said it was I was the catalyst in the worst brawl in East Coast League hockey history. And,
wow.
So it's a record that my parents aren't super proud of. But when I was sitting out, I met a guy in the stands who worked for NASCAR, and my dad has a garage on Vancouver Island. And so when we got to talking, he's like, "Hey, when your dad comes down, I'll take you on a tour." And sure enough, my pops came down. I took him to Bill Davis Racing at the time, and it was back when just mechanics pitted the race cars, not before all these athletes got into it.
Oh, right.
And practice was going bad, so the crew chief's like, "Hey, get the hockey player in here." And I went and was just about as fast as the guy that had been doing it for 5 years. And so they wanted me to pursue it. I was playing in Albuquerque, New Mexico that year, and thought it was, no, I'm not going to do that. And they were persistent, and the following year I took a shot at it. And it's funny, I tried for 20 years to get to the National Hockey League, and I made it to NASCAR in like 6 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
You didn't know what you had in you.
No, and like I said, it was just a different time, right? Like you had to beat out mechanics athletically for the job. Now, if you look at our current roster, we have a guy that was a linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We had a guy who led Clemson in tackles for 2 years. We have a U.S. Olympic swimmer. We've had 2 United States Navy SEALs. So the athletic acumen of these guys now that pit race cars in NASCAR far exceeds the entry point from when I got in. I don't think I ever would have made it if that was the case.
And not only have you shown your success in this, but you're the first Canadian pit coach, or and they call that like the first one to go over the top or something?
Over the wall, yeah. So I think
right?
I think I was the first, or maybe one of 2 Canadians going over the wall as a jackman on a pit crew, which is really interesting. You know, we travel all over the country, race 39 weeks a year, and you'd meet fellow Canadians at a lot of these different racetracks. It was always like this point of commonality. You know, I've met Curtis McElhaney's dad. You know, he wearing a Team Canada jersey down pit road one day. And so, yeah, I was a pit crew for a long time. And then just wanting to see it done a better way, I decided to take on coaching, and that was 6 years ago. And a funny story to that is when I first started coaching, our guys would call me coach. And I was like, look, if I'm not wearing hockey skates and a whistle, don't call me coach. Just call me Shaun. That's fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
So so let's turn this into the reason that you're coming to Sarnia. What has all this got to do with what you're going to talk about? Because you're not really coming to talk about hockey and NASCAR. It's one good shift can make a difference, right?
Yeah. You know, one of the things I've never aspired to be a public speaker. And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to speak at the NFL Combine. And I didn't think that I really had anything anyone wanted to hear. And after we spoke at the NFL Combine, we had a resounding response, and we're invited to a bunch of different teams to talk to their guys. And when I started looking at it, I thought, well, maybe there is something here that people may want to hear. And I think the gist of it is this, Dave, is I was really, just your average person, scholastically, athletically. And when I look at my journey, it was a couple of little shifts in the way I think about things that allowed me to be as successful as I've become and create this life that I absolutely revere. And we're all, the message I really want to get across to people is it's all within us, and at the end of the day, it's about inspiring human brilliance, realizing that thoughts are things and that the view that we adopt for ourselves profoundly affects the way that we live our life. So one good shift is about walking into situations that we face every day and shifting our mindset and looking at them just slightly different. And by doing that, we can bring all the abundance that we want into our life.
Yeah. And that's it seems like a hard lesson for us to learn, right? Because we where we're surrounded and where we are in our environment. How do we have to find the courage to change that? Is that where it comes from, or what's?
I think it boils down to the path, right? So like when we were growing up and your parents are hard on you, they were preparing us for the path, right? Like they were equipping us, telling us, hey, there's peer pressure coming and there's failure coming and there's disappointment coming, right? They were preparing us for the path. And the one thing I think that maybe is going on now, that instead of preparing the child for the path, we're preparing the path for the child, right? And that's a big difference. That means we're out front removing all the disappointment, removing all the failure. But the problem with that, Dave, is that the paths lead to the same point, right?
Yeah.
A point that is wrought with failure and disappointment and heartbreak. And if you arrive at that point unequipped for that part of the journey, you're in big trouble, right? Because now you're just, it's an onslaught of all these things that you have to handle. So again, small shifts in the way you think about things can help you overcome, the adversity and the failure. If you think about my job, I'm tasked with having 5 guys change 4 tires and put 2 cans of fuel in a race car in 12 seconds. We operate we operate on
I guess I never really thought about it like that.
Right. So we operate on the verge of what's humanly possible. So we understand that failure is coming, but it's how quickly we navigate that failure, overcome it, move on, that determines whether we're successful or not. Like we call ourselves failure coaches, right? But we view failure different. Like there's a misconception in society that there's a finality to failure, which is absolute BS. The reason we look up at successful people is because they're standing on a mountain of failures. They just never let that stop them or define them.
I think, don't quote me, I read a book a long time ago. It's called Failure Way to Success, right? And, and I think I agree with you. I think we say, you failed that test, or you failed that course, or you failed. And it feels like such a harsh word. And I agree. If we could just look at that word a little bit differently and apply it differently, greater things can happen, right? And I mean, it's no secret that social media has an effect on, not just young people, everybody, right? And I guess a part of it is how we react or how we don't react to failure.
Well, and that's exactly it. It is, especially you brought up a great point about social media. We are in a 24/7 comparison game now. Right. So it's easier now than ever to feel like to feel like a failure, because, you're seeing everyone else's house and fancy car and, and a lot of it is a facade. Right. So again, one thing we tell our guys all the time is we fail quickly, right? Fail quickly and move on. So like if they miss the first lug nut, we ask them to fail quickly, hit the next 5 succinctly. If we fail when we're changing tires on the right side of the car, fail quickly and be great on the left side, right? And again, by reframing that failure, this is where the one good shift comes in. We're shifting our mindset that failure is actually a tool, and we can use failure to grow as human beings. Like if you look back at your life and you think about some of the things that you failed at, a lot of times they become the catalyst of the things that helped you grow the most. Where we were the most uncomfortable, like I have an unbelievable John Brophy story that I'll tell at the Imperial that I could have gone 2 directions. I could have just quit hockey. It was that type of story, or I could keep going. And again, that's why I say that I'm unremarkable in every sense except my mindset. And I am every person that's coming to the Imperial Theatre. I just think a little bit differently. And it's all things that you could walk out the doors after the show and implement them in your life immediately.
Shaun, why is this so important to you?
It's important to me because, I'm in the United States right now, and Canada and the United States are close in a lot of things. Thank goodness they're different in a lot of things also. But there are more heart attacks on Monday morning in the United States than at any other time during the week. And it's a direct reflection of our dissatisfaction, our lack of purpose, our indecisiveness on pursuing a calling, and I truly want to see it done a better way. You know what I mean? And it's, I've never been much of a self-promoter. Like I said, after the combine, I thought that my message resonated enough that I want to affect people positively. And I've had some really wonderful people come into my life, and I think this is my way of paying it forward. And like I said, if one person walks out of the Imperial Theatre for the better, then it's going to be worth it.
Well, you're already doing it here in this interview, just by the way you're talking. You're already inspiring. I know I've enjoyed listening to you here. So I think when we give you a big stage up there and you have room to move around, you'll be very inspiring.
Right.
Your story as well, right?
Well, and it's going to be a little different. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's a bit of a different presentation too. Like one thing I don't like is, you have a lot of the sage from the stage type presentations where it's this person up there, with a portraying this perfect life, and you do this, and this, you're going to get here. Mine is completely authentic. I'm going to speak to my failures just as much as I'm going to speak to my success.
Yeah.
And I think by doing that, there's an authenticity there that resonates with people, and they realize that all this is like right there. It's within reach, and like I said, not something super complex or complicated to implement into your life.
Yeah. Well, I like how you mentioned that because, I've been to many motivational speakers, and you see this great big, well, they're way up there and we're kind of sitting down here. Right. Yeah. And sometimes it gives you something to reach for, but if it becomes more real and it seems more achievable, I think that's part of the inspiring part.
Absolutely. We're going together. Right. And again, if what you'd love to see is this grow exponentially, and not just my part. Is you affect 3 people, and they affect 6 people, and they affect 6 more people. You know what I mean? And really, we start valuing each other and valuing and realizing, quit playing small and realizing the gifts that we have to bring to this world. I said I'm really excited, and I've done a bunch of these in the United States. I've not been in a room full of countrymen and done this, so I'm really excited to be in Canada and do this. And I know that sounds like such a small thing, but when you're down here for so long, it's not. Like, it's a big deal to go up and speak in Canada. And I had I'm a journaler, and I've journaled that I will do an event in Canada, and it's finally come to fruition. So I'm very excited about it.
Journals are important. I have one myself, so I can relate to what you're saying there. Talk a little bit about your company and how you founded that and how it all kind of came together.
Yeah, so we have a company. It's called DEC Leadership, and DEC stands for Diversity, Efficiency, Culture, and Kindness. And we feel like those are the 4 horsemen of the American workplace. And we founded it. The other pit crew coach at Chip Ganassi Racing, a guy named Mike Metcalf, he was a running back at Appalachian State. And again, it was after this NFL Combine deal that we realized that people want to hear what we have to say. And what's interesting is, there's a lot of corporate speak these days about, our business team needs to operate like a pit crew. And what they don't realize is what that is. So like our business, we do everything from a keynote to the point like we will bring the race car to your parking lot and all the tires and pit guns and all that stuff. And we'll teach you how to do pit stops and how to work together as a team. And what resonates from those is that high functioning teams are not simply brilliant strategy or a brilliant process. It's all these other things, all the soft arts that come into it. So emotional intelligence and kindness and work ethic and resolve. And these are all the things that make high functioning teams. When we took on Chip Ganassi Racing, their picker department, we had to beat 3 or 4 other teams in the sport that had budgets that were almost double ours.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
And even our facilities. I mean, we're the only team in NASCAR that you can't practice in the rain, but we have this philosophy that we don't have the best of everything, but we make the best of everything. And we realized that if we could weaponize our culture, we could compete with the big guys. And we've done that ever since we've been there. Our team was ranked 4th last year out of all the teams on pit road. We really are excited about the 2 groups this year. We think we could put them both in the top 5. And again, we're doing it with half the resources, but we invest in our guys more than anyone else. If you're a pit crew member at Chip Ganassi Racing, we care about you. And like our number 1 recruiting criteria is we put nothing above being a world-class human being. If you're that, I can turn you into a pit crew guy. And once we find those guys, like I said, we know everything about them. I know every one of my guys' birthdays. I know their wives' birthdays. I know their anniversaries. We actually we had a guy a couple of years ago. He was out back doing some extra work, and I looked out the window and saw him. And I walked back there, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to work on a couple things." And it was his anniversary, and this guy's wife is affectionately known as the warden, right? So not a lady you want to disappoint. And I was like, no, man, you need to get out of here. Like, it's your anniversary today. Because if you think about it, we have such a long season in NASCAR, right? And we're asking a lot of our guys, and we want to help them with the important things in life. And it's something that, I have 30 guys in my department. If I can walk out one day and someone's warming up and I can put my hand on their shoulder and be like, hey, don't forget to call your dad. It's his birthday today. That creates a profound effect and shows that you care about that guy, and it's free, and every company can do it.
So it's building relationships, right?
You got it, and it's creating purpose, right? So now he's not just a guy who pits tires for Shaun Peet, Mike Metcalf at Chip Ganassi Racing. It becomes more like family, right? So I am going to get his best effort. So at the end of the day, whether you're a coach or a boss, this is all about inspiring human brilliance, right? The best iteration of ourselves. And again, it's about caring for people. And that's where we kind of lost our way. And we got to get back to that.
Agreed. Shaun, I could let you go on, but then we don't want you to reveal everything you're going to talk about here today. We want people to come see you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I have plenty. I love talking about this stuff. So I'm very passionate about it. And, I hope there's a bunch of questions. I hope I get to meet people and we can really impact some people.
Well, I'm looking forward to hopefully having the chance to meet you when you come down here. And I know there's tickets are already going really well, folks. So you're going to want to make sure you go to imperialtheatre.net to get those tickets to see Shaun Peet coming to the Imperial Theatre on March the 5th. Shaun, thanks so much for joining me here today. We'll look forward to seeing you here in Sarnia.
Dave, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Wow, he certainly is an inspiring person already. Shaun Peet, thank you so much for your time. And you can see Shaun Peet March 5th here at the Imperial Theatre. Not only can you see him speak, there are VIP tickets available that you will be able to meet him and spend time with him as well. There's only 100 VIP tickets. So go online, as we said, to imperialtheatre.net to get your tickets for this. Shaun, very looking forward. Is that a way to say it? I'm super looking forward to seeing you talk and hopefully get a chance to meet up face to face. One good shift is supporting Clair Child Youth Services here in Sarnia. So be inspired, learn, and support a great cause. Once again, Shaun, thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you. All right. Well, just before we go, always got to say thank you to some supporters here as well. Thank you to our friends at AG Event Graphics. Visit them online at askguy.ca, supporting us right from the start for 8 years now. And our friends at Joe's Discount Tire. Yep, you got to get those snow tires ready. The snow has finally showed up, so be ready for that. And, of course, our friends at Oswald's Diner and Active Ears, where better hearing begins with you. And thank you to all of you for joining me here. That's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. I will see you next time right here on the show. Bye for now.